Hello, everyone. It's Thursday, May the 14th, and I wanted to make this for anybody that needed it. Um, I'm going to be in the third chapter of Colossians, and so I want to read that to you, probably the whole chapter. I don't usually read that much, but in these times we're in, I probably will. Uh, I've heard this preached many a time, and I've preached it myself. Two of the most unforgettable times that I remember hearing this was from uh, Brother Dewey Barrier and Brother Aaron Wooten. They both did such a wonderful job on it, and I probably reference them while I'm in this. But this says, "If ye then be risen with Christ, seek those things which are above, where Christ sitteth on the right hand of God." If something is risen, it must have been dead at one time. Set your affection on things above, not on things of this earth. For you are dead, and your life is hid with Christ in God. Paul said that he died daily, so that's what we have to do. We have to die daily. Um, Brother Aaron, he preached that at Meridian. I don't remember how long ago, a couple, 3 years ago. And he said that on the way down there, they ran up on where it was a dead animal in the road, like we see so many times. And he said it didn't make any attempts to run off, had no movement, and he made some real good illustrations and comments about it. Right now, I can't remember all of them, but it was good. So I remember Brother Hubert Sampson. He was a barber, and he told me once that maybe more than once, but he told me that he got called out to cut a man's hair that was deceased. And he said the man never told him how he wanted it cut. Uh, he never said, "You gapped me." He never said, "You hurt me." He never said, "I don't like your haircut." The man was dead. And Melinda, my wife, she's been called on to go to the funeral home for sisters that's passed away. And so she's had the same experience. And it said, "When Christ, who is our life, shall appear, then shall we ye also appear with him in glory." Another place says that when we will be like him. So that's what we're striving for. It says, "Mortify your members upon the earth." Mortify. It means to subdue or deaden or kill. "Mortify therefore your members which upon the earth: fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, and covetousness, which is idolatry." We're trying to kill these things. "For which things sake, the wrath of God cometh upon the children of disobedience." Now, in my reading today, I'm not going to define all these. That you got a dictionary, you can do it. Maybe on another one, God will prompt me to do that. But right now, I'm trying to get to other points. And it said, "For which things sake the wrath of God cometh on the children of disobedience, and the which ye also walked sometime when you lived in them. But now put off these: anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy communication out of your mouth. Lie not one to another, saying that ye have put off the old man with his deeds, and have put on the new man, which is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him. For there is neither Greek nor Jew, circumcision or circumcision nor uncircumcision, barbarian, Scythian, bond or free, but Christ is all and in all." In the Old Testament, God was with them. Now God is in us. So put on, therefore. Now this is the things you put on. You can't put on until you take off those old things. Brother Hubert told me that if he came home and Sister Lucille said, "Hubert, I've got you a new shirt," and maybe it was wintertime, he had his coat on, "and I want you to try it on, Hubert." He said I would have to take off the coat and the other shirt he had on to try on the new one. So you got to take these things off before that you can put on the things that he's telling you to put on. So put on therefore, after you took off the other things, as the elect of God, holy and beloved, vows of mercies, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, long suffering, forbearing one another. Seems like we can't forbear one another for anything, for any length of time. We need to forbear one another. It says, forbearing one another, forgiving one another. If any man have a quarrel against any, even as Christ forgave you, so also do you. And above all these things, put on charity, which is the bond of perfectness. The bond that holds those other items that we just read, holds it together. You know, I may tell you that you may tell me you got some meekness, that you got some kindness, but if you don't have charity, you can't hold those things together. You may have kindness one week, and then next week it seems to get away from you because you don't have on charity, that bond of perfectness. And let the peace of God rule in your hearts, to which you're called in one body, and be ye thankful. I already said in previous videos that set you an alarm 3 times a day to be thankful. I've never seen anybody that was thankful not make it. I've never seen anybody that was unthankful make it. I remember years ago there was a girl, she was having a hard time. She was a sister at the time, and she was going out the side door, struggling, having a hard time. And Brother David said, can't you see, Brother David Jones, can't you see what God's doing for you? And she said, I can't see anything that God's doing for her. So that was the beginning of the end. It said, let the word of Christ dwell in you richly in all wisdom, teaching and admonishing one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing with grace in your hearts to the Lord. We need to be singing, if not out loud. If some of us that doesn't really sing that good, we can sing in our heart. Don't ever let anybody get your song. And whatsoever you do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God and the Father by him. Wives, submit yourselves to your own husband as it is fitting the Lord. I remember once, I might have mentioned this before, but we went to Smyrna, up near Murfreesboro, or Smyrna, Tennessee, and Smyrna Holiness Church. And we went on Saturday night, and we were going back the next day on Sunday. We stayed in a motel. I woke up before Melinda did, and I wanted to read. I didn't want to turn the light on, so I just opened the blinds just a little bit and slid over there to the little desk I had, and I read it, and it opened up I just opened the Bible, and it came to husbands and wives. The first 3 verses or so was telling the wife what to do, and man, I was rejoicing. I tell you what, I thought about waking Melinda up so she could hear all these good things. And then all of a sudden, seemed like to me pretty abruptly, it turned to the husband. I looked over at her, and I said in my mind and in my heart, I said, sleep on, girl. I'll tell you another time. So wives, submit yourselves unto your own husband as it is fit unto the Lord. You know, when we hear the word submit or subject or any of them kind of words, we have a problem with that. It's not going to be easy. And I say to you young girls that if you're thinking about marriage and you look at a guy and you think he is pretty outstanding, but in your mind you think, I don't know if I could submit to him, please move on and don't look at that any further. Husbands, love your wives and be not bitter against them. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is well pleasing unto the Lord. Fathers, provoke not your children to anger, lest they be discouraged. Servants, obey in all things your masters according to the flesh, not with eye service, as men pleasers, but in singleness of heart, fearing God. That singleness of heart, that eye, that one single vision. I know I've tried to do that, and Brother Jack Kelly told somebody that I was the most one-track spiritual-minded person he'd just about ever seen, I think. And that's a compliment, and he meant it as a compliment, I'm sure. and singleness of heart, fearing God. And whatsoever you do, do it heartily as unto the Lord and not unto men. We must do it heartily. If we don't do something heartily, how do we do it? We might do it half-heartedly. I've thought about Melinda. She fixes me something good, and if I just sat there and picked over it and didn't eat it, didn't ever say thank you, never said that was good, I might not get a whole lot of more good meals like that for a while. So if you don't do it heartily, you're doing it half-heartedly, and I don't believe in doing anything that's any count half-heartedly. Knowing that the Lord that of the Lord you shall receive the reward of an inheritance, for you serve the Lord Christ. But he that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong which he hath done, and there is no respect of persons. I've read the 3rd chapter with 25 verses, and talking about, we need to keep our eye upon the goal. Brother David Jones said the only time we see obstacles is when we take our eyes off the goal. And he talked about dead and hidden. Let me flip back to that. For you're dead and your life is hid with Christ in God. I've thought about, for 2 people at least I know, maybe more, but 2 come to my mind real quick. It was Moses and Christ. They were out to kill them. The little baby's 2 years old or less, and they hid them. And so God can hide you where the enemy can't see you. We need to crucify the flesh. If we can crucify the flesh, nail it up on the cross like they nailed Jesus, I believe that the Spirit will move from the front of the church to the back, but it's not going to move until we crucify the flesh. We need to, I don't want to play flesh games. I'm not interested in it. Who's got the greatest sermon? Who gets the credit? Or any of them things. I think that hinders us so much. And the sacrifice, I know in the Bible, he said in Romans, he said a living sacrifice. They used to sacrifice those animals and they killed them, because if they didn't kill them, they would try to crawl off the altar. We're a living sacrifice, and we don't need to crawl off. We need to let what God needs to do to us to perfect this work. I thought about a story, I think Brother Carnes Tabor, heard him say. This man went to a place that sold crosses, and he thought his was big, and he walked in there and he laid it down, and he was looking for another cross. And so he looked and looked and looked, and finally he found a cross that he thought that maybe he could handle, and that maybe the man would trade in the one he had brought in for that one. And he told the man, he said, I think this is the one I want. And the man said, that's the one you brought in. Heard another one, and this might have been Brother Carnes, I don't know, but man was praying to God, and he said, oh Lord, my life is no good. I just wished I was dead. And then this little story said, poof, this genie came and said, you rang? Can I help you? And the man said, he was saying that the cross was too heavy for him. He wished he was dead. He said, you rang? Can I help you? And he said, yeah, if you would, help me get this cross back up on my shoulder. And I'm a big cut up. I've said that before. I haven't told you anything. It's, I know, like Joel Osteen or somebody, I always start off with a joke or something. I don't do that, but I usually, a lot of times I will come across something. And I heard about this doctor and lawyer and preacher that went deer hunting, and they all put their weapon up at the same time. They saw the deer. They all shot simultaneously. The deer fell, and they went up there where the deer was, and they was arguing about who shot it. The lawyer said, got me a deer, and he just knew that was his deer. And the doctor said, I wouldn't be so sure about that. I think I got that deer. And then the preacher, he said, I think I might have got him. And here came a game warden up. And the game warden said, "Could I ask what you're arguing about, men?" And they told him that they was arguing about who shot the deer. And he said, "Well, maybe I can help you out." And he looked. He said, "The preacher shot the deer." And they said, "How can you be so sure?" He said, "Well, look at the wound. Look at it went in this ear and it came out this ear, so it had to be the preacher." I don't think I've ever killed anybody yet, but I probably wounded a few. So anyway, and we ought to try, you know, those two brothers asked to be on the left hand and right hand of Jesus. We ought to try crucifying the flesh, nailing it up on a cross, forgetting who gets credit in all those flesh games, and see how much more spiritual we can get and what God can do for us. I've been a little bit long this morning, today, but may God bless you is my prayer.